Hello, welcome to the St Kilda and Bayside report. It is November 2023. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Jeremy Rosens. It's not just November, Gary, it's mid-November.
It is the heat of spring, isn't it?
It's
not that it's
absolutely
that hot,
that. Well,
but
it's
it is the heat
actually
of spring.
been quite nice. It's promised a lot,
Yeah.
but it hasn't really delivered on the weather front.
It's a little bit like the Carlton Football Club. Promised a lot.
Gee,
didn't
hold
deliver
on a
all the
second,
way.
Gary.
Yeah.
Just before you make these slanderous remarks, the
Oh,
last
oh.
time we were on this show, we missed the month of October because we were too busy selling houses, which means we probably did this mid-September, and we may not have been talking so boldly about Carlton,
true,
but a
yeah.
preliminary final, Gary, means we
That's
were
it.
just one game away from the big dance. But I think we
That's
should
right.
probably,
You're right,
let's
you're
not
right.
worry too much
Yeah.
about footy because it's
Next
off
year.
season. It's cricket now, Gary.
And well done to the Collingwood supporters. It's hard to, give them a lot of love when you're a Carlton supporter. But look, maybe the Blues next year. You never know.
You never know, Gary.
You never know.
Live in hope.
Let's talk a little bit about the real estate world.
Yes.
Because we are right in the thick of it now.
Yep.
There are people that want to sell this year still. You can still get on board very quickly.
There is
buy.
a tiny window, Gary,
little
to
way,
jump
isn't it?
in,
And it's
but
getting
we're lucky
smaller
this
all the
year.
time.
We're lucky that we've got 3 weekends of December this year because generally we only get two
Yep.
and a half.
If
I'll
that.
tell you what we're doing a lot of, Gary, and with great success, the Twilight auctions.
The Twilight auctions.
How good are they?
Into the twilight zone of auctions, midweek, 6:30, 5:30, loving it. And getting some great success too. I love those Twilight
First of
auctions.
all,
Yeah.
it's light.
It is.
No competition.
No.
There's a carnival atmosphere because I think the kids in the street,
Yep.
everybody comes out to watch it, and it's
Yep.
such a great show.
It's a good vibe, isn't it?
It is.
If you want to do a Twilight auction,
Give me a call.
give us a call.
Happy
and,
to do it.
And we can do it for you next year as well because we are now
Yep.
booking for February and March. And
Well, are
quite
we what?
busy. Yeah, we've got a bit coming up next year. So if you want to buy,
Yep.
and I think you mentioned, you thought earlier on that maybe some people would think that people are distracted from buying going
Well,
into
I
December.
don't. There's always been a perception. I often get asked, but the third week of December or December, people have got their mind on other things.
Yep.
Well, to be quite honest, Gary, people have their mind on other things all the time.
That's true.
But if you're in house buying mode, you are desperate to find something.
Yep.
And if it's Saturday the 16th of December, you're buying it.
And the clock is ticking, and
Yep.
you know that there's no auction on the 23rd, the 24th. There's
The show just,
The show's over, isn't it? Finished,
the curtain closes and it doesn't reopen for a month and a half or more.
That's exactly right. So if you're wanting to buy, you've got some nice offerings. You want to sell, call us
Jump
quickly.
in. Jump in now.
We'll be able to help you out.
Yep.
The clearance rates through spring so far have been very solid.
Yep.
We've obviously got, the elephant in the room is the interest rates because we know that they have just marginally gone up. And I think really at the end of the day, for people like me that's a little bit grey, a bit older than you, that was out there in the 80s, Gem, when interest rates were 17, 18%, we scoff at these kind of interest rates because
it's
they are
child's play for you, Gary.
They are reasonable commercial interest rates, but it is unsettling when they go up. And of course, when they go up, things can change for buyers, can't they?
They can, and probably what's not being talked about, because people say, interest rates and everything's moving, but what it does mean for a buyer is their lending capacity, meaning their ability to take money from the banks and put it into real estate, decreases each time there is an interest rate rise.
I think that's right. I think a lot of people think, we're just going to have to pay a bit more back. But what people don't think is that the bank will say, look, I'm sorry, Jeremy, we approved you to borrow $1 million, but now it's $950.
Yes.
And therefore, you've only got a $950 limit. And
approvals are quite difficult because now they just lifted the bonnet up and had a look.
Yep.
Now they tinker with everything. They want to know what you had for breakfast. And, of course, if you're having avocado with feta cheese, you're unlikely to be able to buy property.
That smashed avocados had a very
Had a
bad
good run.
image, hasn't it?
Had a good run, though. Had a
but
good
now
run in the
its
papers.
image is not so good, is it?
Well, it's now
interesting.
the food of the highfalutin,
Is that it?
the yuppie.
Do you like smashed avocado?
Well,
Tell us the truth.
I'm afraid to say. I do love a bit of smashed avocado.
Yeah, fair enough. There you go. Okay. Well, I'm just a poached eggs guy. I just leave it at that.
Of course
Or
you
boiled.
are.
Yeah,
Of course you
happy
are.
to boil
And
eggs.
you'd hate it if they margarine your toast, and if they
don't.
put any bit of green, you'd probably have a
Always
fit.
take that off. It's
Of course
very
you do.
interesting
Of
that
course
you know
you do.
that.
It's not interesting.
You know me too well.
It's easy to read what you'll do.
You know me too well, and I'm sort of a little bit embarrassed, but also quite impressed at the same time if you can have both of those emotions. Jem, let's just talk about where we're at, what's going on, and what's happening in the world of real estate. Because St Kilda, of course, where you live during your business hours.
Yes.
It's a great time of year to be a real estate agent in St Kilda.
This is the best
next 2 or
time,
3
Gary.
months, isn't it?
This is the best
you've
time.
Got, you've got the summer, you've got people going to the beach, you've got a lot of
Tourism back.
coming back. Then, of course, you've got the St Kilda festivals we open the new year. We've got the Grand Prix. This next 3 or 4 months, they are big months to be a
It's
St
exciting
Kilda.
to be in St Kilda. It's also a bit scary, Gary, because there's a few crazies running around in St Kilda, but it's fun.
That's what St Kilda's like.
Yes, and we love it.
Less
It's eclectic.
crazies than there have been, and kind of cooler crazies as well. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
They're not like when I worked in school in the 80s, they were dangerous crazies. You know, now they're sort of
I
cool
reckon I could
crazies.
tell you some stories, Gary.
There's a few.
Could tell you some
I
stories.
could tell you some too, but it's certainly no, it's very different. But it is a place where people want to be. They've always wanted to be in St Kilda, but also that whole Bayside strip. Of course, you're selling a lot of stuff in St Kilda West and in Port Melbourne and in Middle Park and down the other way. In
All
Brighton,
the way down the coast,
right
Gary,
through
and
there,
back the other
Elwood.
way.
So lots going on. Let's talk about a little bit about some of the places that have been sold, because there have been some.
Well, we've missed a
interesting
month,
sales.
Gary, so we've got a long list of things that we could talk about,
people
but
don't
let's
want
just
a
go to
long-
some of the highlights now. Unfortunately, Gary, as always, some of these figures are undisclosed, so we're going to sort of tiptoe and dance around the numbers. But why don't you launch into it, Gary, with our first one?
2 steps forward, 1 step back,
Yep.
or the other way around.
Yep.
Let's do that little dance. Let's talk about Javois Street.
Javois.
I say Javois. You say Javois.
No, I say Javois.
I say Javois.
Yeah,
If you say
would.
Javois, I was going to say Javois.
That's correct.
Javois.
Because I'd have smashed avocado with a sprinkle of something, and you'd take the sprinkle off.
So, and maybe the avocado. Just give me the raw egg. Let's go to 28 Javois Street.
1.4 to 1.5 quote, Gary. Successful auction sale. Multiple bidders sold. Can we say?
Yeah.
1,530,000 over the range. An exciting result in a nice little pocket there in
We're
East St Kilda.
busy in Eildon Road. We do.
Yep.
I love Eildon Road. You drive down Eildon Road. There's these beautiful. I mean, it's like the street winds, like the shape of the buildings. You know, that Art Deco. You come around the corner.
I wouldn't have thought you'd noticed
you
that
go
little
through-
nuance there, Gary.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, hung out there. This was my hood. You know, as a young man, in and around there, Eildon Road, riding my bike through there.
Yep.
That is a cool street and
It
some
is.
beautiful homes. And of course, we're very active there. We manage properties there.
We do.
sell properties there.
We
and
manage
just-
this particular one, if I'm not mistaken, Gary. What number
Just
is it?
sold 2 at 23.
That is the
Eildon
first
Road.
floor of a maisonette duplex. Beautiful. I sold the ground
place.
floor. This one sold.
Matt Morley handled it?
He
is that right?
did, and he did a wonderful
and
job.
It's undisclosed. We thought we'd get 1 to 1. We did a lot better than that. For
We
the
did,
vendor.
we did.
And the buyer got a great property under.
Buyer's very
competition.
happy. Actually, there was a funny instance that happened at that auction, which we won't go into detail,
yes.
but something
Unusual.
that is probably one in every.
A very St Kilda-ish thing happened. In terms
We
of
had a bidder. I think we could say we had a bidder who.
may not necessarily have had the means to have performed as they
Well,
did.
he may have, but
We don't know.
He ran faster than he bid, I'll say.
Very unusual situation scenario. Jeremy, 34 Hotham Street will never have I had more pleasure in putting a sold sticker up than on that home. It was for sale with another agent. I'm not trying to be nasty, but it was for sale with another agent.
What
We
colour
picked it
was
up.
the other agent?
I'm not going to say that.
What was their
they would
brand?
have been a little bit red by embarrassment by the time we sold
Red,
it.
okay,
Or
okay.
maybe not, because it took us over a year.
Could they
to
be
get it
blue
sold. I'm not
with
gonna
sadness?
Say, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just going to say that well done to the vendor at 34 Hotham Street that employed us and stuck with us for over a year, Jeremy Rosens, to have that property
Tell me,
finally
did you
sold.
go to the house on the 365th day with a cake and candles to celebrate the year of
Birthday. Happy
being
birthday.
together?
You've been on the market for a year. Happy birthday. No, I haven't
Do you know
done
what?
that.
Sometimes it takes that long to get the right buyer.
Yeah.
And credit to you and your
you.
team,
Thank
and
you.
credit to the vendor for sticking with us. Thank
well,
you.
thanks to the vendor.
Because ultimately, sticking with us was the answer to getting a sale. And I
was.
think the price is probably undisclosed, but a very rewarding sale and a very good price. And sometimes it's worth the wait.
And I've got to say, Jem, that the vendor never gave up on us, and we never gave up on him and her. So glad that we could get that across the line. 47 Milburn Grove was a very competitive auction,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that was exciting.
And it is disclosed, sold for $2,156,000. But Jeremy, that home had been in the same family for some 90 years.
In
or
fact, Gary,
thereabouts.
the gentleman selling the home, because I was there in the listing appointment.
He's like my brother from another mother, that guy.
And I brought him to the office, and then we were going to, we were ready to go and do the deal. And then I brought him to one of our nights that we have for our vendors, which is probably something we should talk about at some other
Yes, we
time.
should, yeah.
But he came along and he introduced himself to you, and lo and behold, you two scallywags did a paper round together back in the early 1900s,
Well, I
I
lived a
think.
few streets away from him where I grew up. So I said to him, I
I'm
went to
surprised
Ripley-
they even had printing papers back then.
Well, they
printing
did.
presses.
You know, they were hot. The papers are hot off the press. That's where the saying came from. But I said to him, I went to Ripley State School. He said, I went to Ripley State School. I said, I did the paper round. He said, I did the paper round. I said, I played in Green Meadows Park. He said, I played in Green Meadows. I used to ride my bike around. We were like, how do we miss
Kindred
each other?
spirits,
Maybe
Gary.
we didn't.
Although he
Anyway.
did look, I mean, if you're the same age, he looked in a far better condition than you do.
Yeah, well,
Gary.
that's a whole other story. He hadn't had to work with you for the last 20-something years. Let's move on to Lyndock Avenue. That was one of our prestige sales.
this is a
Very
big
exciting. big one, great looking property.
We probably can't give too much away. Can we
No.
give the start of the price
Well, the
away?
price guide was in the fours. You know, we can put that out there. That was the
So
price
we
guide.
can say it sold
In the
for
fours, yeah.
something.
Yeah, we can
Right,
say
okay.
that. It sold for something, with a 4 in front of it. But anyway, great home and beautifully presented, and one of the prestige homes of the area. We've had some very exciting sales, some great results.
Yep.
We've been selling stuff. You know, a little apartment that we sold in Canterbury Road, which we sold $401,000. I know you worked on that with
Yep.
Daniel Fisher. So
Yep.
we're selling stuff right across the board, all different price ranges, and loving every minute of it.
We are, Gary.
We've also got some properties that are coming up for sale. We
We
haven't
do.
many actually. We're not gonna
We've
talk
got
about
plenty.
them all.
We've had to
Pluck.
cull the list, Gary. And I don't
Had to
even know.
pluck.
What we did is we did every second home rather than the selection of the best.
Oh, it's okay.
But
Okay.
I did want to start with what I think is absolutely one of the best.
Okay, let's do
because
it.
this is for me, and we talk about apartment blocks often on this show
Yes.
because we're often entrusted to sell them.
We
But
are.
this is one that we're very excited to sell. Not only is the product beautiful, not only is the location fabulous, but the vendor is a fabulous supporter of ours, and also has a bit to do with real estate, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. Very much a authority in real estate.
An
in fact.
authority,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
41A Dickens Street in Elwood, Gary, 1 to 4, 4 apartments, beautifully located in Dickens Street in Elwood, quoting 27 to 29. I think it's actually going to be starting in the next day or two if it
Yeah,
hasn't
it is.
already
Yeah,
started. In
it's
fact, it's
starting,
maybe
yeah.
started a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it's just
so
starting now.
4 2-bedders, so there's 8 bedrooms, parking at the back, beautiful block of land, fabulous older style block. You can see from the pictures this will go really well, and we're excited to bring it to the market with you, me, Matty Morley and Daniel Mickmacher.
A lot of work's been done too on that
Yep.
block. You know, it was sold some years ago, but
Yes.
the owner is very fastidious in
Yes.
terms of how they like to turn their properties out. So, you know, if you go to the ground floor front apartment there, it is stunning, you know, and the tenant also keeps it beautifully. So
Yes, they do.
That really is a showpiece property and a very exciting premier listing to the market.
Talking of Premier, Gary,
Yep.
we're going to go down to Ackland Street. This is a beautiful older style. It's got a kind of a Mediterranean
yeah.
sort of Tuscan
Miami
feel about it.
almost. Oh,
Bit of Miami,
yeah,
bit
yeah.
of Miami, although it's almost Miami without being cleaned because it's also got a sort of Cuban
Yes.
standing still in time.
doing
Is
the
that
auction
true?
there?
Well, I think I am actually.
Because you can, you can
You
start
want me to
doing-
dress up?
I reckon you should put on a little bit of say hello to my little friend outfit or something. Maybe
What?
Maybe go
I
a
would
little
actually
bit
like you
Donny
to dress
Montana,
up.
yeah.
Why don't you and Phil come to the auction wearing like red flamingo
Yeah,
dancing things, and you can
exactly
just
right.
we'll just dance you off to the
Exactly
side.
right. We'll bring a few dancing girls as well with pineapple, bit of Carmen Miranda.
But you know what, I
have a
wouldn't-
cigar there. It's going to be great.
This would go on for a while, Gary, if we don't just get to
Okay,
the
getting a
address
bit
here,
carried away,
because
aren't we? Move
what's
on.
more important than your dancing is this property, because you take away from the gloss of this property. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, Art Deco, absolutely delightful ground floor. Love this. Sold it to them, I don't know, a few years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, and selling for them again, $690 to $750. Daniel and I are selling that one, and very much looking forward to it.
And what a great lifestyle to be in Ackland Street. Let's talk a little bit about. We've got another great looking building here.
Heavens to, what do they say? Heavens to Dickens?
Heavens to Dickens, yeah.
Heavens to
Heavens
Betsy.
Dickens,
I don't know what it
Heavens
is.
No, Heavens to Dickens.
This is
What the Dickens have we got here?
This is Parkside perfection, Gary. This is one of the best looking older style apartments that you'll find. If you thought Ackland Street was amazing,
I do.
well, this is also amazing.
Okay, we can have
This
two of
is
those
in the
ones.
top right hand corner. It overlooks the
Blessed
Botanical
Gardens,
Garden.
yeah, lovely.
1 2 to 1 3. Parkside perfection, we're calling it. 2 bedrooms, older style, renovated, absolutely delightful.
Love the feel of that property and looking forward to seeing you there. And if you love old style properties, then you'll love the building that was once called the Gardens of Caulfield, even though it's East St Kilda. Because,
Really?
there was a time where, Caulfield was a bit more of a big deal than East St Kilda. Now they're both a big deal.
Yes.
But this building used to be an old rental building years ago. Jeremy, I used to sort of hover around, had a friend that lived in there, and then they stripped it all, renovated it, made the most beautiful development there with retaining all
Beautiful
of its charm and
gardens as
character.
well.
The Gardens of Caulfield, and of course, we've got this wonderful apartment coming up there.
Yes, apartment 8 at 273, 2-bed, 1-bath, and the luxury, Gary, of not one, but 2 off-street car parks.
Very unique.
650 to 715. Nikki Janova is going to be selling that with her team.
And she'd be pretty excited about it.
She would be, as she should be.
Shall we move from older style to something a bit more modern?
Let's
Just
go
for
into
those modern lovers.
It's like you're reading your mind. It's like you've got a teledex to what's happening next.
It's just a mental.
unbelievable.
It comes with
Octavia
experience and
Street.
age, it's that special time between being young and then being a little bit older, a bit more experienced, but not yet having lost the plot. That comes later.
Well, the jury's out on that, Gary.
Let's go.
The
Tell
jury
us
is
about-
out. 10 at 25 Octavia
Yeah.
Street in St Kilda, Gary, 8 to 8.50. This is a top-level apartment. I like to call it the penthouse. Views over the city, over St Kilda.
Wow.
Absolutely
That's
delightful.
cool.
Just near the junction. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathroom. Huge outdoor entertaining decking.
You'll feel like you're on holidays all year round in this terrific
Gary.
apartment.
If
Let's
you want
move
to feel
on.
like you're in holidays, go to Inverleith Court, Gary, because this is
good address.
right in your old hood there,
Love
just off Eildon Road and up near the top, near Robe Street. So it's a beautiful little pocket.
Fantastic.
870 to 950, living over 3 fabulous levels, Gary. Kitchen and living in the middle, bedroom or study, car park downstairs. Up the top, you've got 2 bedrooms, central bathroom, balconies, garages, you name it. Small block, modern, architecturally designed, delightful.
Got me excited about that one. We're looking forward to seeing people through that. All of these, of course, coming up for auction. Have we got anything in Elwood coming up by chance?
As a matter of fact, Gary, we're going to head down to 3D Vautier Street in the heart of Elwood.
That's one of those great
We're going to
streets.
keep this townhouse theme rolling and this 3-level townhouse theme rolling, because this one is very similar. Bedroom or study, car accommodation, ground floor.
Tri-level living at its best?
You can say that, Gary.
I just did.
Bedrooms upstairs. It's actually a very similar floor plan to the one in Inverleith. But of course, you've got an Elwood address, and that's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 1 lock-up garagio, Gary.
Bayside living at its finest. Let's talk a little bit about the last listing we've got to talk about.
Excited about this, Gary,
Yeah.
because we've been employed by, I think it is
Association, isn't it?
a St Kilda association,
Yep.
who do great things for the area.
They sure do.
This is a property that they no longer have a use for, and are going to turn it into something else. So it's 175 Inkerman Street in St Kilda, 478 square metres of prime real estate, Gary, 15165. Currently, it's a 5-bed, 2-bath, 3 off-street car park, but a beautiful block of land. You can do with it as you please. You may even, and I don't know this yet, but you may even be able to create a bit of vertical happiness, as we call it, and potentially look to maybe build on it, subject to the council's approval, of course.
I'm worried about that term, vertical happiness. It can mean a lot of different things.
Well, not in a real estate sense,
Okay,
Gary.
we'll leave it at that.
Maybe if you just drag your mind out of the gutter
Okay.
and keep it about real estate, because you have form in kind of turning this show into a cesspool of
Filth.
stupidity.
And stupidity and filth.
Speaking of stupidity, you know, this is the hairiest I think this show's ever
I know,
been.
this is the hairy
I've got
edition, isn't
more
it?
hair on my head than I've had probably
I
for a
like
long
your hairy.
time.
I reckon it's
But
good.
those eyebrows, Gary, are an all-time. I mean, it's like you've had the wet season and you've forgotten to trim it back after.
Yeah,
It's like a veranda that would just soak in all the rain.
You know, I'm waiting for UNESCO to make it a World Heritage Site, my eyebrows. I think that's what they're going to be doing.
Do you want to
next.
just? We need to stop because the Guinness Book of Records people are here.
Oh,
They
right,
come to
okay.
measure your left,
Exactly right.
that
I've
grey
just
one that's curling in.
Got to say, Jem, don't have eyebrow
Just for the
envy.
record, the cameraman looked to the left thinking that they were actually here. They're not, in fact,
Don't
here.
have eyebrow envy. It's not good. You know, you just be happy with what you've got, and you know, keep going. You too can maybe get out there.
No, I actually go to a hairdresser who just, well, I haven't been for a while, but just trims the edges so I don't look like a woolly mammoth.
That is the hairy edition of the St Kilda and Bayside report. We're going to give you another edition before the year's out, a little bit of a year wrap with some predictions for
I'd
next
like
year.
to do a bloopers one, Gary.
No, we don't bleep this one. That would be embarrassing. But we will keep bringing you the news. We hope that there's something here that's not just ridiculous as the babble is, but something of value. But it is good to be back in front of you. Thank you for watching the St Kilda and Bayside report. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Jeremy. We'll see you next time.